with John Fugelsang on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Hey, let's get to Keith Price. I'm always thrilled when the Comedy Daddy joins us here on the Love Fest. Keith is iconic in these parts because he hosted the late lamented morning show on the OutQ channel, which we all miss very much. Do yourself a favor and get his wonderful Broadway podcast, Keith Price's Curtain Call, especially because Bruce Springsteen has decided that Broadway returns this month, but only for fully vaccinated theater goers. Keith, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing, Johnny? What's going down? How you doing?
I'm doing great. We could start planning our ticket buying for Broadway again. How are you doing?
I'm really thrilled, actually, except that last story just kind of bummed me out of hair.
Well, no, don't be bummed out. Be bummed out if it was all true, but it's not. The right wing is hailing this as being, the reality. Oh, Trump's finally vindicated. Trump himself said he was vindicated, and he's not. One of his own winged monkeys just changed all the facts and lied about it, and the entire story falls apart as soon as you start looking at it. So don't get angry and fired up over it, but don't despair.
The thing is that the evidence is there, and somebody who in a quote unquote official capacity has the audacity to just lie like that. And you're right. There's not a critical eye put on that. There's not, and no one is, up in arms about that. Like, this is really ridiculous that we are allowing these people to get away with all of this. This gaslighting. This is
some of us are, Keith, but here at SiriusXM Progress, we don't allow any of these motherfuckers to get away with it, even if they get away with it. The North remembers.
It's a Pyrrhic victory.
Listen, I mean, I did not expect Bruce Springsteen to come back to Broadway. I saw the show. I cried 4 times in that show. It's beautiful. I thought the movie on Netflix was beautiful. I didn't think it'd be as good as it was. And what I love is the political gesture of Springsteen being the first. We were told Broadway comes back in September. June 26th. Springsteen on Broadway, and if you thought it was hard to get tickets before, well, now only people who are fully vaccinated get to enter the theater. Is this going to be the new normal, Keith? Is this going to be the new normal?
I think that it is becoming a thing if people want to do this the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're trying to do this, being able to be in a closed space again with decent ventilation, people are going to have to be able to trust that they're walking into an environment that's doing the utmost to make sure that people are safe. Like, it's like, one errant cough in that room, and it's contagion. You know what I'm saying?
You're
like,
right.
and again, it's the even in a fully vaccinated room with that 1 or 2 people that just had a COVID test or something like that, and they wind up getting, one of these weird strains that's evidently going to eventually evolve. It's like, you're setting an entire room of people into a really terrible place. And it's like, to do the best to avoid that. And I think it's very smart because if they're saying this now, come September, when the shows actually start opening and people are starting to really congregate again, that maybe perhaps that can become the norm so that we don't have to go through those thousands of questions all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and everything's coming back, right?
Vaccine.
Like I'm looking at the listings. Everything's coming back. Chicago, the Alanis Morissette musical is coming back. The Bob Dylan. I'm finally going to get to see Girl from the North Country. I got amazing reviews. Wicked is coming back. Hamilton, the Temptations musical. Like, Broadway is all the way returning.
It wants to come back. And the thing is like, if we can set a good precedent now, especially because Bruce kind of represents a slice of America that is not necessarily the most, known for its own personal fabulosity, if you know what I'm saying. Like, he gets the other parts of America, and a lot of other pieces of America will listen to him. And so if he's insisting upon making sure that people come to his shows, which he wants, and he wants to perform for you, which he will do gladly, you're going to have to meet him halfway and be vaccinated.
You're right.
That's what he wants.
But that's what I think is going to happen.
That's a simple thing to ask. It's not a lot to ask.
But I think Broadway is showing us that it's not going to be government giving people lottery tickets or joints that's going to make them get the. This is one of those areas where I always say the unsung hero in civil rights is business, is the private sector. Every time you see a Budweiser float at a pride parade, it might be tacky, but to me it definitely represents historic progress. And I think we're going to see it happen here, where it's going to be private business, the private sector, that is going to force people to get their shots because they're going to say, hey, this ride is only for people with 2 jabs in the arm. And we're beginning to see it here on Broadway with artists leading the way. But, I mean, do you see this expanding out into the whole culture, airlines and almost anything you can do indoors? I don't think private businesses are going to want to have the liability risk of being a place where unvaccinated people can get sick.
Because think about it. If a bar, owner can be thrown in jail or have to be prosecuted if somebody leaves their place drunk, you know what I'm saying? And you knowingly gave them the alcohol or whatever. By knowingly letting people in without any kind of precaution or safeguard, then you do open yourself up in a liability way, because suppose you get an outbreak because of whatever happens in your space, because of contact tracing and all that other stuff, it gets pinpointed back to you. Then you're liable.
What are you most excited to see? What is it because I heard Girl from the North Country was so amazing a year and a half ago, and I'm like, I got to go see that, and then everything shut down. I know some things won't, like we're probably not going to get Ed Harris back on Broadway and To Kill a Mockingbird, but a lot of shows will come back. What do you want to be your first thing you see?
Oh my gosh, the first thing I'd like to see would be Mrs. Doubtfire, just because I'm a big Rob McClure fan, and I've waited for him to finally get his big star turn on Broadway, and this was going to be it, and then it got cut short. So that was like a personal thing I'd want to see. But I also want to see that show 6, which is the one about the wives of Henry VIII.
Yes.
Where they're all telling their stories and giving you classic fun music. It's just like the hottest thing that came out of the UK, and everybody's been talking about it. And that's the other one that I'd like to see in terms of the flashy ones. And then as far as there's a play that's coming. I think it's called The Skeleton Crew. That's with Felicia Rashad. That's written by Dominique Moruso, who wrote. She actually wrote the book for. Ain't Too Proud, and then she did this amazing play that was at Lincoln Center called Pipeline, which was amazing about the pipeline, in terms of getting blacks on the pipeline from the, streets right into the prison system. And so, I'm looking forward to some of that stuff, but I just am thrilled that the whole thing is coming back. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I need an overture like nobody's big business. You know what I mean? Like, just give it to me now. So,
totally with you,
I'm excited about that portion. And like I said, going to the movies the other day was really great too, because, that was kind of stepping into that zone. And it's like, I'd like to be able to have a little of that life back too. So, I'm willing to wait. I'm glad that Bruce is going to make sure everybody's vaccinated, because, if he says it, it's the boss, all right? You're not going to not do it if the boss doesn't tell you to do it. So that's the one.